Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Taylors of Tech live on Twitch. I'm a happy Apple sheep today. I'm very excited because tomorrow I'm going into massive debt. I'm going to spend about $3,000 on stuff I'm probably not keeping, so that's always fun. But on top of that, Apple responded to my video. Tim Cook watched it and realized that I was making far too much sense and I needed to act on this. So thankfully, Apple updated a support document for the Magic Keyboard case, which I believe was digital, obviously, because people have not bought, there's not new paperwork or anything. Essentially, people have just noticed the text was added to the support page for the new Magic Keyboard case because so many people were asking about this. It was becoming a huge tension point because there's a lot of us who are Magic Keyboard case owners from older iPad Pros, like I'm probably a classic example of a lot of people. You bought an iPad Pro from 2018, right? Because it had USB-C, it had 120 hertz, it had Face ID. It was the best iPad upgrade, in my opinion, of all time, and we'll probably never get another iPad upgrade this good again. It's easy to forget how many changes were made in a single upgrade. Like the 2017 iPad Pro, home button, Touch ID, forehead, chin, lightning, side smart connector, and then all in one upgrade we got Face ID, no home button, USB-C, the stereo speaker improvements. Like, it was an amazing upgrade. We bought it, we were using it, we were happy with it, and then the Magic Keyboard case came out last year, and we weren't terribly interested in the 2020 iPad Pro because it was pretty much the same, A12X to A12Z. It's slightly different. It's not a huge difference. It was just a slight upgrade with the A12Z. We got a dual camera on the back, and most of us are like, do we honestly really use the cameras on the back that much? Okay, it's got an ultra wide, it's got LiDAR. That's cool and all, but not much. We got a little bit extra RAM here and there, but iPadOS didn't really take advantage of that extra RAM very much. So essentially, we got the Magic Keyboard case, and we got iPadOS 13.4, which brought the redesigned cursor support. So that case came out, and a lot of people like me had the 2018 iPad Pro. They were like, I don't care much about the new iPad, but I dig this keyboard case. Oh, also, the main reason, one of the primary reasons I was so excited about the Magic Keyboard case, if you've noticed what I care about with both iPads and Macs over the years, when people ask, like, what's a big priority for me? What's an improvement for me? Like, what's something I care about when I upgrade my machine? It's I/O. It's additional ports. And the Magic Keyboard case finally allowed me to charge my iPad from either side. And also, if you leave your keyboard case on your desk like I do, it allows me to basically inductively charge my iPad. So this stays plugged in on my desk. When I want to charge, I can just drop it off. I love the keyboard case. In fact, if you recall watching or listening to the Taylors of Tech podcast last year, when me, Nick, and Randy were all talking about what our favorite Apple product of the year was, I think both me and Randy said the Magic Keyboard case. We were like, new iPhones are cool and the mini iPhone is cool, but that was kind of the default. Everybody was talking iPhones. We were like, you know what? The Magic Keyboard case brought so much functionality, so much more adjustments, like making it more flexible to move upright or go down. The floating design I love. I love the fact that the iPad Pro is like hovering off the ground as you're using the Magic Keyboard case, and I can't even really feel that I can't really even see the hinge that's holding it up. It's basically just hovering in front of you, which makes it very easy to detach and use in tablet mode. And the fact that we could charge and everything. We love this keyboard case. And we all got petrified. We all got so dang sad when there were these headlines from Mac Rumors and 9to5Mac and Apple support contacting people telling them, by the way, your old keyboard case will not work with the mini-LED iPad Pro we just announced, the one with the M1 chip, the most powerful Apple silicon ever, now in an iPad. And now we've got Center Stage, this super ultra front-facing camera that pans around with you as you FaceTime, which I'm so excited to try. And on top of that, mini-LED. The first time we're getting 120 hertz and extreme dynamic range within a single Apple product. Usually you have to pick one or the other. It's you either got the XDR display from the Pro display or from an iPhone with an OLED panel, or you get 120 hertz with an LCD on an iPad Pro. Now we're getting both high refresh rate and dynamic range. This amazing product will not work with your favorite product from last year, and you're going to have to buy a new Magic Keyboard case, which is, I think everyone can agree, very expensive of an accessory. I won't say overpriced because it's very hard to find a keyboard case that can do the exact same thing as this one and be as convenient and as simple to use. So when we were reading these reports saying, yeah, you're going to have to get a new one, can't use the old one, it was very much a deal breaker, in my opinion, for me and also a ton of people that I was following in the tech space. You guys, there was a lot of people in the community, both on Discord and on Twitter and in the YouTube comments section on my video about this yesterday. I was seeing quite a few people say like, yeah, if I have to buy a new keyboard case, it's a no-go. I'm not upgrading. I will flat out not appreciate all the changes if I can't reuse my keyboard case because it's already a hassle to either trade in or try to sell my iPad Pro from 2018 or 2020. If on top of that, I'm going to have to try to sell my Magic Keyboard case because I don't believe Apple has a trade-in program for the keyboard accessories. So you'd be losing out on so much money to upgrade to this newer iPad that it was just a flat out not going to do it, not worth it. But Apple has responded finally because certain people on the Apple support page were saying, no, it won't work because the mini-LED iPad is thicker. Other people were saying, yes, it will work. It just won't close exactly right, or it might not close exactly right, especially if you have a screen protector. Now we've gotten the official statement, in case you missed it on Twitter, from the Magic Keyboard support document. These are Apple's words, not mine. It says, the first generation of the Magic Keyboard, which officially goes by the codename A1998, 1998. That was the year I was born. No wonder I love this product. Okay. The first generation of the Magic Keyboard is functionally compatible with the new iPad Pro 12.9-inch 5th generation with Liquid Retina XDR display. Due to the slightly thicker dimensions of this new iPad Pro, it's possible, again, it's possible that the Magic Keyboard may not precisely fit when closed, especially when screen protectors are applied, right? So this is official from Apple. Essentially, they're saying there is a possibility that it might not precisely fit, which in my opinion sounds like it is not a for sure requirement. It is not like the first sentence was the happiest news I read today. Just seeing Apple officially say the first generation is functionally compatible. You had me at that. Whatever they said after that didn't really matter. Like, what do they mean it's possible? Based on the wording at the end of the statement saying, especially when screen protectors are applied, the way I see this is if you plan on getting a glass 0.5 millimeter screen protector that you apply to your mini LED iPad Pro, that might not close all the way, but it'll still connect. You know, the magnets will still align if you don't close your Magic Keyboard case. I know a lot of people in the comment section that were saying that. They were like, I don't even close my Magic Keyboard case. I just leave it at my desk. And if I want to go somewhere, I take the iPad off. But I like having the keyboard case when I'm docked, you know, at my desk here. So for someone like that, I don't think this matters at all. But basically, it just won't close as precisely as the new one. But hearing Apple say that it does technically work was very, very encouraging to me. I was so happy to see that because I was like, okay, I don't have to buy a new Magic Keyboard case. And also, Apple just did this in the nick of time, too, because there's probably some people that are at work or at school right now that are not hearing this news. They're not hearing the... That was really impressive, actually. I've been live streaming for a while, and I was exporting today's EV video through Final Cut, and my iMac Pro fans are blowing right now. Oh, my God, I can hear them. I don't know if you guys can hear them. Maybe if I switch to my iMac Pro microphone real quick, you might be able to hear. Okay. That's, whoa. As soon as I did that, it was like encoding overloaded. This is what the iMac Pro microphone sounds like. It's probably picking up a lot of that fan noise. So, you know, that this mic isn't doing anything. It was so loud. Normally the iMac Pro fans are pretty quiet, but when I was live streaming and exporting, it was like... And simultaneously, Starlink has only dropped 1% of frames, which is actually very good. Normally it's... People are saying no fan noise? Really? I can hear it from here, and the mic is... Maybe that mic on the iMac Pro is singling it out or something. Okay, I'll go back to the Zoom. This probably sounds much better. I hope it sounds better. If ever, I'm gonna be annoyed if everyone's like, the weird iMac Pro mic sounds better. So now that you know the keyboard works, would you keep the iPad Pro? Yes. It not for sure. I think I'm mainly just going to try to sell my 2018 iPad Pro to offset the cost. Um, there's still part of me that's hesitant to upgrade and keep the new M1 just because we don't know about the software they're going to announce for it. That I've been seeing all these leaks now. For those who haven't caught up, there was metadata in the Apple newsroom post that suggested that the ship date for the iPad Pros, the iMacs, and the new Apple TV was May 21st. May 21st is when all of this stuff we're going to order tomorrow morning is supposed to deliver. What annoys me about that date, it's frustrating, is I did the math, is May 21st is when all of us are probably going to start getting our new iMacs and our new iPad Pros. 2 weeks from May 21st, that's Apple's return window, by the way. So if you buy an Apple product, doesn't matter what happened to it or why you're returning it, you're allowed to return it within 14 days of delivery. If all of the Apple products get delivered on May 21st, the return window expires June 4th. June 4th. 3 days before quadruple UDC. Which means that if you don't file a return request before June 4th, you won't be able to return your iPads or iMacs after that date. For the people who are just joining, here's the official statement from Apple. I guess some people just joined. Sorry for those who have been listening the whole time, but we got some tardy people in class today. Here's Apple's official statement on the matter. The first generation of the Magic Keyboard, that's this one, the one we all have, is functionally compatible with the new iPad Pro 12.9-inch 5th generation with Liquid Retina XDR display. I just bit my tongue for you guys. Due to the slightly thicker dimensions of this new iPad Pro, it's possible that the Magic Keyboard may not precisely fit when closed, especially when screen protectors are applied. So the way I've interpreted this is it means if you plan on getting a thick screen protector for the mini-LED iPad, it might not close exactly right. But if you're not planning on getting a screen protector, you will still be able to use your old keyboard case. Yes, it works. Basically, yes, you'll be fine. That's essentially the statement we've gotten. It might not close exactly right, but it is functionally compatible. That's the takeaway. Anyway, my main concern now is I've been saying for months now, leading up to this launch of the mini-LED iPad Pro, was that I really was only interested if they were willing to bring some software exclusives like Final Cut or Logic to this new generation iPad Pro. And on the hardware end, they've done pretty much everything I can imagine that I've wanted. Almost everything. There's only a handful of things I still want the iPad Pro to do hardware-wise. But they did pretty dang well, in my opinion. They gave it Thunderbolt, so the Type-C port on the iPad Pro is now way faster than before, which allows you to plug into external monitors, high-resolution external monitors, and also be charging from that port and also be connecting to external drives on that. So they gave it a very capable port. They gave it extreme dynamic range with the mini-LED display, which not super important to me, but I'll take it. You know, I appreciate high dynamic range if it's there. And they gave it 8 gigs of RAM on the base model, 16 gigs of RAM on the 1 terabyte and 2 terabyte models. They gave it more storage options. They gave it the M1 chip. They're giving the iPad the same chip they're giving the Macs, which is insanely overkill for an iPad. So much power for something that's going to probably be used for social media for a lot of people. But I'm in the True Depth camera system getting upgraded with the center stage now. So it's a super ultra wide angle that can track with you as you move around the room. That's fantastic. I love that. So I'm very, very happy with the hardware itself, but the main reason I wanted to upgrade was some type of software benefit. And if they do announce Final Cut or Logic, I don't really care as much about Logic. For me, it's just Final Cut, but you know what I mean. Pro applications for the iPad are announced at quadruple UDC. I will definitely want to keep it. partly because just this 2018 iPad Pro I have is only 64 gigs of storage. So even if they announce Final Cut and it works with all the older iPad Pros, this would still probably need to get upgraded for me because it's not going to hold much footage with 64 gigs. I'm kind of hesitant to just settle with the 128 gig iPad Pro tomorrow, but I think because, I'm thinking about the Marquez lesson that he was tweeting about recently of like, don't buy a product on the promise of future software updates, right? Like you don't want to buy something because they're claiming one day we will fix this product with software patches. Sorry for the lag. I see it. So I'm trying to keep that advice in mind. RAM on older iPads would probably be an issue with Final Cut. Possibly would be an issue with Final Cut, but I'm guessing with the M1 wouldn't be, now that we have 8 gigs of RAM on the base models. I don't think it's outside of Apple's capability to decide that Final Cut and Logic will only work on the 2021 iPad Pros. That does almost sound like something Apple would do. I've seen a lot of people say the opposite. They're like, no, they won't make it a software exclusive. They wouldn't do that. But I don't know. This is Apple we're talking about here. I could see them making software exclusive like that. They do it with iPhones. There were times, remember when the iPhone 11 came out and they gave all these pro camera features like the resolution and frame rate changing from within the app and the quick take video function of the iPhone 11 series. They didn't bring that for a while. They brought it later, but they didn't bring those features to the other iPhones. Even though they technically could totally do it, they had the hardware to do all those things. They just didn't enable it because they wanted those software advantages on the later iPhones. So I could totally see Apple coming up with software exclusives for just the M1 equipped iPads. But I'm not too well aware of the return policy or the return I've returned a lot of Apple products in my time, so you'd think I'd be the guy who would know about this type of thing, but that I'm aware of, I believe you can file a return up to 14 days into delivery of a product. And then once you file a return, they will give you a couple more days after that for you to actually ship it back. So my thought process is to maybe get this new M1 iPad Pro, and then on like June 3rd or June 2nd, like a couple days before the return window is about to expire, say start a return. And then when I hit the start a return button, it will say, okay, you now have 7 days to send the iPad back and get a full refund. This is what Snitch 30 is saying. I don't know if he's suggesting this or he knows this, but he's saying you can initiate the return within 14 days, but take a week for the product to reach Apple. Okay, that's how I believe it works. Starlink, you were doing so great. Come on, find the satellite. Starlink, no. Come back to reality. You can do it. There you go. We got it. All right. Starlink found it. Thank you. I have a 2018 iPad Pro. I still love it to this day. No need to upgrade for me. Oh yeah, I am borderline upgrading at this point. If I was not a YouTube content creator, if this was not my full-time job, I would absolutely be holding on to the 2018 iPad Pro. Like, for the record, if anybody out there is watching and you still have a 2018 or 2020 iPad Pro, this to me is still not a must upgrade. This isn't like a big deal, like substantial upgrade, at least based on paper, because I think the biggest changes with this new iPad are performance boosts of the Thunderbolt port and the M1 chip, and I guess mini-LED, but I know a lot of people that are probably not going to care at all about XDR or mini-LED on their iPad. Like, I feel like some people might notice that, but for the most part, people aren't going to care. I'm 2018 11-inch, and I'm upgrading for the larger size. Also, the battery is shot. Oh, true. I guess if you're brutal on the battery, it could be ready to. I'm not actually sure. The iPad is like the last Apple product that you can't check the battery health on. Can't you check battery health on MacBooks? I forget. We're currently at 3.4% frame drops with Starlink, which is not as bad as it was when I first installed it, but it's been better, that's for sure. I have an 8th gen iPad and I love it. Well, that's good. Did you buy an AirTag for delivery tomorrow? Yes. It's shipped. I got the shipped notification. The thing is, most of the time for me, where I live, I don't get. I'm kind of near the end of the delivery. What do you call it? The delivery route for the truck drivers. So I'll be getting. It says I'll be getting my AirTag tomorrow, but I'm not expecting it to get here that early. It's probably going to be a later in the day type thing, like 2 or 3 o'clock. And I don't think I'm going to live stream the unboxing because I'm already planning on live streaming the pre-order process of the iMacs and the iPads tomorrow. So I think I'd rather just, because it's an AirTag and there's really not much impressions when you get it out of the box, I think I'm rather just going to film a video, film myself unboxing it, setting it up, using it, and doing an impressions, because it's not a product with a display or much of a setup process. It's just kind of like, oh, here's the box. All right, there it is. So I think it'll work better as a short edited video, more so than a live stream. Besides, with a live stream, I kind of have to sit down and stay in front of the camera and that kind of stuff. With a AirTag, you kind of want to take it with you and hide it somewhere and do the spatial awareness tracking and that kind of thing. So that's making me want to just, I don't think the AirTag makes sense to unbox live, but I'll be pre-ordering tomorrow with you guys. I think I'll do it live on YouTube, actually, because I'm streaming today via Twitch. I did the AirTag pre-order via Twitch because I felt like the AirTag was just one thing. It wasn't as big a deal, but we're getting a lot of stuff tomorrow, so I felt like that might make a bigger impact to live stream that on YouTube. So yeah, I'll be live tomorrow for sure. Maybe a dumb question, but how late in the day will the pre-orders be for you? It's not a dumb question. How late in the day? Not very late. It's 5 in the morning. So I don't normally get up that early. I mean, I have gotten up that early. I did it last week. But yeah, I have to this is one of those pre-order days where I have to keep my Apple Watch on when I go to bed. Most of the time, I take my Apple Watch off when I go to sleep, and I just leave it on the charger. But with a pre-order morning, the battery life on my Series 6 is so good that I can just leave it on overnight, and then it wakes me up in the morning. And because it's just tapping me, it doesn't wake up my wife. That allows me to get up and come in here, and I'll be at this setup with the iPad and ready to order everything. And I'll probably go live like 15 minutes before or 20 minutes before the store goes up. So I got to get up at, like 4:15, 4:30, pretty early. So yeah, it's before the sun gets up. It'll be dark and I'll probably look very tired and my voice will sound weird because when I first wake up in the morning, my vocal cords haven't stretched quite yet. It's quite weird. Anyway, I want to read some of your guys' chat. What are you saying? Scott's in the chat. He's coming on the Tech Podcast soon. He says, Mac and Watch, you cannot buy annoying iPad. You can iPad. You can't. I don't know how to read this. There's no way I believe they'd give the iPad 8 and 16 gigs of RAM if they don't have major software planned. Yeah, it definitely seems weird, right? Like, why would they be giving certain iPads 16 gigs of RAM when all they've given it for years is basically 4 or 6 gigs of RAM? Now all of a sudden they're giving it 16 gigs and there's no software to take advantage of that? Like, I agree. It's weird. PB says, you missed my super chat on the YouTube spring-loaded hype stream. I'm sorry. YouTube glitched during part of that. I recall trying to keep up with all the super chats, but there was a time where I left that tab to change a setting or look at a setting, and when I came back, they just got rid of all the super chats, so I couldn't read them all. And it wouldn't let me scroll back through the live chat. It was frustrating. But he says, no big deal. Please increase the frequency of the tech podcast, even if it's you guys just rambling. I could listen to you guys all day. Well, thank you. I'm glad you enjoy it. I'm sorry for the audio sync issues with the last tech podcast. I reached out to Nick about it. He said that it was because someone was set to 30 FPS instead of 29.97. So as the podcast went on, they slightly got out of sync. He claims to have fixed it now. It's a bit confusing, but essentially you have to close the podcast app or delete the download if you've already downloaded it, and then open the podcast app again. It should be fixed now. I'm glad you enjoy it. You can also listen to these Twitch streams via audio on the Apple Podcasts app or Spotify. I got a lot of requests to do that, and it's kind of time consuming, so I wasn't always staying on top of it, but now I'm trying my best to stay on top of it. So as soon as I end these Twitch streams, I convert the Twitch stream into an audio file, and then I upload it to Apple Podcasts and Spotify so you can just listen to the audio. Typically, I can do that within a day, within 24 hours after the Twitch stream, so you can listen to these after the fact, but I'm glad you like the podcast. There's not really much I can do to increase the frequency of them. Once a week is honestly sometimes difficult to make happen, but we try to stay on top of that as much as we can. But thank you. I appreciate the feedback. You're very supportive, and I'm thankful for that. I have to upgrade some form of portable device for college. Was thinking of the M1 MacBook Pro or iPad Pro 12.9 inch. All I want is Pro apps on the iPad Pro, and I'll upgrade. Else I'll get the MacBook with the M2 or M1X if revealed in June. Because the problem is getting an Apple Pencil plus keyboard case makes the 12.9 inch very expensive. But I would prefer touchscreen any day, and hence I'm confused. Well, it's weird. People are always like, well, if you factor in the keyboard in the Apple Pencil, it's more expensive than the MacBook. It's like, yeah, but the MacBook doesn't get a pencil at all. So I can understand throwing in the keyboard case to make it more of an apples to apples comparison of like, I want a keyboard and a trackpad, but the MacBook doesn't get a stylus at all. So I would say don't consider the Apple Pencil a must-have if you end up getting the iPad Pro. But yeah, I agree with you. Having the touchscreen, having 120 hertz, having Face ID, iPad hardware is more fun. It's just lacking a couple of software features. So I would probably recommend what I'm doing, which I don't know. Like, is Apple going to get mad at me for suggesting this? I'm not on Tim Cook's nice list, you guys know. Like, I don't get Apple products early, like Renee Ritchie or iJustine or MKBHD or your average consumer. We know the general group of people that all drop their videos at the same time. I've spoken to those people before, but I don't know how you get on Apple's nice list. It's not something you request. It's something that Apple will let you know. It's not something you let Apple know you're interested in. There's no application process or anything. It's not like, hey, I'm famous too, right? Can I get the stuff early? It's like, we'll let you know. We'll contact you if we want you to have stuff early. So because of that, I don't know what I got to say or what I got to do to get on the nice list. I don't know what it is, but I have a feeling that all of my talk of rumors and all of my speculation is not helping. They probably don't like people talking about future products, all the stuff, but all the time. But basically what I'm going to do, because I'm really on the fence with this mini LED iPad Pro, now knowing I can use my old keyboard case does make me feel better. And honestly, if I can find a good buyer for my iPad Pro, then even if there's no Final Cut or anything, I'll probably still keep the mini LED just because I've had this iPad Pro for almost 3 years now. So I'm kind of ready for an upgrade. And, I just want something slightly more fresh. So it's not like if there's no Final Cut, it's a definite deal breaker. But I'm still very curious. And probably what I'm going to do is file for a return on my iPad Pro. Again, this is all assuming we get deliveries on May 21st. That could be wrong. All the leakers and rumors and stuff might be inaccurate, but I'm going to assume they're accurate for now because we saw the metadata from Apple themselves. But let's assume our M1 iPad Pros get here on May 21st. That means you should file to return it on June 2nd or June 3rd, like the day before the 14-day return policy ends. And then they'll give you a week to send it back. So, print out the label, get the box ready like you're going to return it. And then on June 7th, if they announce Final Cut and if they announce some amazing software benefits that the M1 iPad can take advantage of, great. Just don't return it. I don't think Apple will care. I don't think it'll make a big difference if they're like, well, you filed for a return, but we didn't get the product. So I don't think that'll make a big deal. They'll just, they let you keep the iPad. It's fine. But if they don't announce anything interesting and there's really not much software that takes advantage of the M1, then go ahead, throw it back in the box, return it, get your money back. And you should be able to get a full refund. With Apple, I don't even think you get a restocking fee. Or do you? No, someone I was returning something with recently had a recycle fee. Maybe it was Apple. The recycle fee is small, though. It's like $15 or something. It's not a huge fee, but it's, the price of sending a product back and deciding you don't like it. So that's probably what I'm going to do. And it's something I would recommend if there's a lot of you guys on the fence that are like, I want it. But I mean, at the same time, like, what's the rush? I'm a YouTuber, right? Like, I'm trying to get the latest and greatest as fast as possible and give you guys coverage of it before everybody buys it. So I'm kind of pre-ordering this stuff, 5 a.m. right in the morning. If you're on the fence, you could also just wait. You could just buy it and wait until after quadruple UDC to see if there's going to be software to take advantage of it. There's probably a lot of you planning on doing that. But also at the same time, I know my pre-order streams where we order stuff typically results in a lot of people tuning in. So there's a lot of you guys that like to get the stuff as soon as possible. That's fair. But I would say if you're on the fence, there's really no harm in waiting just a week or two longer. Just wait until quadruple UDC, and if they announce Final Cut and it's really exciting, okay, now I'll buy the new iPad Pro. The ship dates might have slipped a bit. You might have to wait a little bit longer, but all the software they announce in June, it's going to be in the beta process anyway. Like, there's a good chance that even if they announce Final Cut and Logic and Xcode, even if they announce all those things for the iPad, they probably won't be available until the fall anyway. So it's not like you're going to get Final Cut on June 7th unless you have a developer beta access and you know exactly how to get that beta software on your machine. This is so much speculation. There's like 3 different layers of speculating. We're like, okay, we're assuming they're going to take advantage of this extra RAM in June. We're assuming that the estimated deliveries are going to be May 21st. We're assuming that software is going to be just as good as the Mac software when it launches later. So yeah, by quadruple UDC, you might be able to click and collect same day from Apple Store. Maybe. It's very soon to the launch, so I imagine due to the chip shortage, it might be severely back-ordered. But yeah, if you're on the fence, there's really no harm in waiting. I don't want to encourage people to all pre-order and then return like I do, because I'm a reviewer, so there's a lot of products I get that I don't keep. For my job, it somewhat makes sense for me to get stuff right away and send some of it back. But if you're not in a rush, just wait, see what happens. Scott says, I used to hear talking about leaks was their argument for not giving certain people products, but I've seen both iJustine and Renee talk about leaks and rumors, so I'm not sure how true that is. Yeah, I would argue Renee Ritchie is a great content creator. I don't watch that many tech channels because I spend so much time talking about tech. It's just not really it's not really what I enjoy doing in my spare time, just because I talk about it all day. But he makes great videos. I like Renee Ritchie. But he talks about leaks and upcoming product launches and concepts and quo leaks and rumors and that kind of thing. And he gets stuff early. So yeah, I agree. It's kind of confusing if you want to go that route of like, oh, they don't like talking to people who talk about leaks. Yeah, Renee does a ton of rumor coverages. Marquez does them occasionally, but not that often. Most of Marquez's channel is turning into just another weird Android phone of the week. That's what a lot of his stuff is. But he's Marquez. You can't beat Marquez. The production value is insane. The way he's able to keep his videos concise and simple and understandable and digestible, it's unmatched. No one can beat Marquez. Even if there was someone who made videos as high quality or as concise, they don't have the history. They don't have the brand reputation Marquez has. So you can't beat him. He's amazing. Probably the best tech YouTuber. Most would agree. If there was a vote, if there was a poll, everyone would probably vote Marquez. Let's see. I was looking through some of the older vids. Did you take down the grown up ad? Oh yeah, that was a copyright thing. We used somebody's music in that, and they got angry. So sorry, I had to take it down. And I don't know where the original files for the commercial are, so I don't know how to re-download it and change the music. I don't know. It happened a while back, and a lot of the ad is outdated now. But basically YouTube copyright ruins stuff like that. It was frustrating. Apple support is in the chat. That's hilarious. They say, all I want to know is if the M1 chip can handle 1,000 CR3 files and all being edited at the same time in Pixelmator Pro. With the M1, probably, yeah. Let's see. I feel like Renee does more rumor videos than he used to, but he's already on the list. That could be part of it. Part of me wonders if it's an age thing. Um, I'm pretty young, and most of the people that are on Apple's nice list have been in the YouTube space or in the journalism space. Because Rene Ritchie just recently, I mean, the grand scheme of things, like in the past 5 years or whatever, got into doing YouTube. But he's been a journalist for much, much longer than that. Like he's met Johnny Ive in person before. Um, so he used to get invited to the actual Apple events as a journalist. So he clearly knows some people that I don't within Apple or whatever to get on that list of like, hey, we want to send you a package of whatever. Um, so I wonder if it's just like that they wait until you're of a certain age demographic. Like Marquez is a bit older than me. Few years. I mean, Marquez is huge. I feel like that might be different. If it's like a certain number of boxes you got to have checked. With Marquez, he's huge. He's been invited to Apple events for years now. They know him pretty closely, and he's like, 14 million subscribers or whatever. Whereas me, I'm like, this is barely famous, very young, kind of crazy, rants about third parties, and I probably, when they look at my videos, they don't look at me as very level-headed and as objective and very biased and that kind of thing. They're like, well, why do we need to support that guy? He's going to defend us anyway. Zone of Tech tried to become friends with Apple. He was invited to several meetings and then they ghosted him. Well, didn't Zone of Tech show how to get Mac OS for free, and like doesn't he do more jailbreak stuff and that kind of thing? I feel like Apple doesn't like the jailbreak community and people who show how to get on the developer betas for free and that type of thing. Rene used to be editor-in-chief of iMore. Yeah, he was very well known in the Apple community long before Apple started working with YouTubers. I think Marquez must be around 27 or 28, but yeah, his size is huge. Yeah, he's still I think he's 5 or 6 years older than me. He's probably the closest out of all these people to me in age, but his size probably allows them to surpass all that. When they see someone that's kind of my size, that's quite a bit smaller and also very young and also kind of a loose cannon with, every other day you see me ranting about Apple and complaining about Apple, and they probably don't like that. They're probably looking for people that are very level-headed and fair and, very calm and relaxed in their videos, not as crazy as I am. Probably because they likely have to sign NDAs with these people. So when they see someone crazy like me who does all kinds of screaming videos and rant videos and goes a little bit too hardcore into the memes, they're probably like, that's the kind of guy that would probably talk about stuff or rant about stuff before he's supposed to. And they probably just don't trust. They just look at me and they're like, we don't trust him. I think he would probably leak stuff before, he would reveal things before he was supposed to, and that kind of thing. I promise, Apple, I'll keep my mouth shut. I would. I promise I would. Not even in Discord, I wouldn't even show stuff in there. I'd be quiet if I get my stuff early. Zone of Tech, in my opinion, complains about everything possible. That's why I quit watching him. I haven't watched him recently. Zone of Tech didn't do a lot of jailbreaks, but he did show how to get Yosemite before it was publicly available. Yeah, that's what it was. They issued some kind of copyright strike that wasn't the proper use of the copyright system, but it was still like, it was showing people how to basically pirate Apple software, but I'm sure they don't like that. I don't know about Apple, but I certainly don't trust you. Well, you don't have to send me anything. I don't know what you need to trust me with. Bai says, I know an Italian YouTuber who's pretty young and still receives products from Apple, so I don't think it's an age thing, and talks about leaks regularly. What's his name? I don't know who you're referring to. Zone of Tech also gave Apple a lot of crap for his faulty MacBook Pro that they wouldn't replace. Maybe those kinds of things could turn Apple away from you, yeah. I don't know how Apple could not want a guy who does 30-minute video rants on a competitor's product. I think they just see me as someone who's clearly biased towards Apple, so they're like, why do we need to help him? He's going to get all this stuff anyway. Why send it to him? So they probably are just like, he'll defend us anyway. Jailbreaking is a one-way ticket to Apple jail. That's why everything Apple Pro never gets anything. He is also huge. But I completely understand why he's not on Apple's nice list. Anyway, I'm very happy that the new iPad Pro works with my old keyboard case. That's the best news of the day. Very happy to see that. And I'm excited for tomorrow. Lots happening. We're getting my first AirTag should get here tomorrow. I'll be pre-ordering 3 Apple products. Nah, Nikias. I know Nikias. I don't think he gets stuff early. Does he? I don't recall him getting stuff early. Has that happened? Let me look. Yeah, I've talked to him. We've collabed before. We've done videos together. Oh, he did. He got the AirTags. I don't keep up with him as regularly, again, because I don't watch much tech videos outside of work. He did get AirTags, didn't he? That's cool. How long has he been on the nice list? Since when? What time for pre-orders tomorrow? It's always the same time. It's always 5 a.m. Pacific. That's so cool. Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, if he gets on the nice list, I know Nick. Yes, we're friends. Come on. Yeah, he invited me on his podcast, but then he never got back to me on when it was gonna happen. I said sure. Yeah, he had me on like a game show thing once, if I recall correctly. That's cool. I'm happy for him. I'm glad he got on the nice list. Let's see. Did you get an AirTag personalized? No. I'm planning on returning the AirTag, so I was like, I don't I don't want to engrave it if that probably damages your return abilities. Let's see. Can we ask why Tim is waking up at 5 a.m. for pre-orders? Well, Tim doesn't have to wake up for pre-orders, but I think he said in an email once he wakes up at like 5 a.m. every day for work. He reads a bunch of emails. But 5 a.m. is good enough because, a lot of people are starting their day by then. And for the East Coast, it's like 8 a.m. Pacific Coast, it's a bit early. I agree. But it's better than what it used to be. It used to be midnight. They used to always do it at midnight. And that meant everybody had to stay up late and then go to bed late, which I didn't care for. Having to get up a little bit earlier in the day is not a big deal. I think what they're assuming is most people go to bed, set their alarm, and then their alarm goes off. They wake up. They check their phone, they order the thing, and then they go back to sleep. They're like, okay, that's what the Pacific time can do. And it's around lunchtime in Europe. There you go. Let's see. Apple is very much like China. If they don't have complete control from end to end of the creative content and contents within, they won't cooperate. Example of things that are a no-no: jailbreaking, showing cracked screens, etc. Yeah, I'd love to figure out what their criteria is to get people on that list. What color iPad Pro are you getting, and what storage amount? I'm pretty sure I'm just going to get 128. It's already pretty expensive. I mean, it's $1,100 for the base model, and there's a decent chance that I'm probably still not, even if they announce Final Cut for the iPad, I'm probably not going to edit most of my videos on the iPad. I mean, I might do it occasionally, but yeah, how much is 256? It's a lot more, isn't it? It's already kind of high because, in the US they don't count sales tax. So that $1,100 turns into $1,200 very quickly. And then 256 gigs is $1,200. So yeah, it's another $100 on top of that. My goodness. That's going to end up being more like $1,350. And there's a good chance I'm mainly just going to use this for making video thumbnails. And watching movies and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I think I'm okay getting like the cheapest possible because I have not filled up the 64 gigs on my current iPad Pro. Like, it's $100 more, but with sales tax, it's like, for me, it's like it's already $100 more than I paid for my last iPad Pro, which was $1,000. Now it's $1,100. My goodness. Let's see. The iMac is 0.1 millimeters thinner than the OG iPhone. Will we see Ben Gate? Can we do a Ben test on the new iMac? Just see one like. Yeah, I have a 64 gig iPad Pro, and how much have I used? Let me check. It's loading. Man, this A12X chip is so slow. 29.9 gigs. I have not even filled 30 gigs, and I have some games on here that I'm not even using right now. So I have not even filled up half of my 64 gig iPad. If I was editing some videos on it, yeah, I need some extra space. But honestly, I think 128 would be enough. I think how big are my video files again? Most of the time, not huge. Looking at today's 41 gigs for today's video. As long as I can edit one video at a time, that's probably fine. What color am I going to get? What's winning the poll right now? I ran some polls. I think I was planning on honoring the results, so whatever won the polls, I was going to get that color. Let's see. It says 72% say space gray, so I guess I'm getting space gray for the iPad Pro. And then for the iMac, it's 46% blue. Silver was second, orange was third, and pink was fourth. Everything else is tied for fifth because Twitter only lets me have 4 options. But yeah, it sounds like I'm getting a blue iMac. I'll get the iMac with Touch ID. So not the super base model, but I don't want to get a maxed out model either. I'm getting the mid-tier one. 8 gigabytes of RAM is fine. 256 gigs of storage for a review unit is fine. I don't plan on really filling it up much. So I just wanted to get a Magic Keyboard with Touch ID because that sounded cool. So I'll be getting the $1,500 blue iMac and then the 128 gig space gray mini LED iPad Pro. Let's see. Watched a video on the new MacBooks. Do you really think 16-inch is going to come out in the fall? Yeah, that's what Gurman said. They're not close. We'd probably know if the mini LED 16-inch MacBook Pro was coming soon. I don't think we're that close. If anything, it could get delayed until next year, but I hope that doesn't happen. I'm hoping we get the 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pros launching probably around October, November. Can you get the Touch ID keyboard separately? You cannot, unfortunately, which sucks. I wish you could. They might start selling it later, but I think the reason they're hesitant to sell it separately is because there's a lot of people saying that the Magic Keyboard with Touch ID only works with M1 equipped Macs. So they probably wouldn't want the confusion of selling a keyboard on Apple's Mac accessory page that doesn't work with some of the Macs but does work with other Macs. It's like if you have an Apple Silicon Mac, it'll work, but if you don't, it won't work. Like that's just kind of weird. So maybe they're waiting for the whole transition to take place. And once Intel is completely gone, they're going to start selling the keyboard with Touch ID separately. Maybe. You should do a runoff between space gray and blue. What? What do you mean a runoff? You can't get the iPad in blue or the iMac in space gray. Let's see. I would like to use it with the Mac Mini. Yeah, I agree. It would be cool. I'm very curious if you can get an iMac with a Magic Keyboard with Touch ID and then disconnect that keyboard and connect it to another M1 Mac. Someone's going to try that. Someone's going to try that right away, which is kind of cool. When do you think the M2 base Mac Mini will come out? I don't like buying first-gen Apple hardware. Oof, that's not something I've seen a single leaker or rumor analyst talk about. I don't know. I don't know. I think the thing is Apple rarely updates the Mac Mini annually. Typically, if they update the Mac Mini, it's every other year or sometimes longer. And we just got a Mac Mini refresh. So I guess it's possible they could do it later this year. I don't know. That seems too soon. If we're getting M1X later, I'd be kind of surprised if they came out with an M2 this fall as well. But that would make sense because that's how the iPhone silicon gets refreshed. A12, A13, A14, once a year they update that line. I don't know if M is going to do the same thing. Not sure. So my guess is next year, if I had to put a date on it. I don't think they'll give the M2 to the Mac Mini this year. I hope they do. In fact, if they come out with a Mac Mini with an M2 chip that's way faster than the M1, I would be very tempted to just get that instead of the iMac because new iMac is probably going to be ugly. It's going to suck. So I just want the performance at that point with the better I/O, and the Mac Mini is the king of I/O right now. So yeah, I'd be very tempted if they did. But if I had to guess, I was going to say sometime next year, probably June June or maybe spring of next year. Not sure. Okay, Simon Flames, my kind of guy. He says, I really don't like the front of the iMac, but I really need an M1 Mac soon. Mac Mini is a great value, but I need a screen and I want it to be decent to good, similar quality to iMac, maybe slightly less. And the prices for those are super high. I hope Logic or iMac Pro with a better front are announced at WDC. I do too. Personally, I think that there are very, very good displays that you can get within the budget of buying a Mac Mini instead of an iMac. They might not be 4.5K, but like you said, you don't like the front of that iMac design. And there are displays that are, I think you could be happy with 1440p, to be honest. I don't think that 4K is a must when we're talking a 24-inch display. If that's the size you're going with. Getting something slightly above 1080p, I think will cover you. Like I've used for extended periods of time lots of different external monitors that weren't as high pixel density as the iMac, but they still worked fantastic. It's a desktop. It's not something you hold as close to your face as an iPhone. So I think that requiring yourself to get a super high resolution monitor that's 4.5K or better or something is just kind of limiting your options unnecessarily. It's not really going to be something you notice on the day-to-day. So I would encourage you to check out some affordable, I can think of a few affordable 4K monitors. Typically when I go on Amazon, I can find a couple. Let me look. I'm going to look right now. 4K monitor. This one, 28 inches, so it's bigger. $270. Comes with HDMI. Yep, 3840 by 2160. That's a sponsored one. I just went on Amazon and searched 4K monitor. You can do the same thing as me. Has decent reviews, but the bezels are very thin chin. It's got Type-C on the back. HDMI. Yeah, I would say that was fine. It looks good to me. The new iMac looks horrible. I would much rather get the old iMac design. I'm with you. Honestly, the market that people are suggesting for the 24-inch iMac, the base model 1080p iMac fits fine, in my opinion. Like, the iMac that has terrible specs and they haven't changed it in years, if you're just talking about getting someone an affordable all-in-one for FaceTime and Zoom calls and basic, like, everyday tasks, getting the $1,000 iMac with 1080p display is probably fine for that market. It's very much like contradictory in my opinion to be like, well, this is the entry level model. It's not for like heavy duty pros. It's just for everyday consumers and just for basic office work. It's meant to be a Mac that you put at the reception desk, at the front of a business or whatever. I'm like, well, why are we giving it, like, at the same time, though, you're giving it this 4.5K display. You're giving it an M1 with 2 fans, which we know for a fact the M1 does not need fans to run. The fans are only there for higher performance tasks, but this iMac is meant for entry-level consumers. It doesn't really need to be high performance, so why they gave it fans, I don't know. But the front design thing is very subjective. It's a personal preference thing. I've seen a lot of people that love the new design, a lot of people that insult me for not liking the new design, but I definitely have heard a lot of you agree with me. That's for sure. There's a lot of people out there that do share my resentment for that design choice, and they haven't changed. It's been over a week now, and we're still not. It's not growing on us, folks. Okay, it's not. And I know there's people in the middle. You're not different. You're not unique. Everyone loves or hates it, and I'm so different. I'm in the middle. I kind of like, but I kind of don't like. It's like, no one's unique. Relax. I feel like the new iMacs are directly in response to Justin Long's Gray and Grayer ad in someone they had a good-looking iMac they prototyped and shelved after watching that ad. Scott, that actually makes really good sense. I kind of believe that almost. The new iMac is as stale as the Oreos I left out last night. Yes, exactly. Thank you. I have some Oreos. We're just out of milk, which sucks. You can't eat Oreos without milk. We just need M1 in the iPhones, Apple TV, and Apple Watch, and then every product in the lineup will have the same chip. It almost feels like that's the direction they're heading. It's like we got 2 new M1 products And they just keep going with the M1. They're like, yeah, the M1's more powerful. They just need one tier. We're not going to have separate tiers of Apple Silicon. Whether you get a Mac Mini or a 32-inch iMac, it's all the exact same chip because they're all plenty fast. The white bezels are bad, but not having an Apple logo on the chin is just stupid. I agree. I think that was the most iconic part of the design. It wasn't the chin, in my opinion. So many monitors, like I just went on Amazon and searched 4K monitor right now. So many of these monitors have chins on the bottom. Having a chin on a screen is so standard in the third-party world. It's so common. So for people to act like, oh, you need a chin for it to look like an iMac, I'm like, that's just a screen thing. Like all screens have chins in the desktop world. If anything, not having a chin is more iconic. Having a one-size bezel all the way around is kind of the cool part. And to me, what made the iMac iconic was the logo on the chin. But I don't think you need that. In the same way the iPad was iconic with the home button, but we got rid of it and it still looks great. Look at this thing. This is iconic. This is memorable. It doesn't have a chin. It doesn't have a logo or text on the front. It's a gorgeous canvas that you can take and carry around, and they push the display to the absolute max, right? Just do that on a desktop. Why is this so hard? To be honest, I don't like the design of the iMac, but I'm happy for those who do. Yes, Wouter, that's me as well. I don't wish that people who like the iMac would not like it. I'm very happy for you. I want to be you. I wish I could look at that design and say, yes, that looks gorgeous. I like it. I want that to be my reaction because I would much rather be happy with the newly announced Apple hardware. But I can't. I'd be lying to myself if I said I liked it. I'd be lying through my teeth. Imagine having the back of a product look miles better than the front. Yep, that's what we've come to now. Cayenne says, I don't hate the new iMac design. It's just not better than the old one. I hate it, but yeah, I agree. It's not better. Because if they did that, they wouldn't have something to do next decade. Part of me wonders if that was it. I like how every one of these Twitch streams basically dumbs down into the iMac rant again. I tried to talk about so many nice things today with Apple, and at the end of the day, we still come all the way back to, by the way, I don't like the new iMac design. The reason it worries me is because I don't like it, and it puts me in this weird state of, okay, what's the 32-inch iMac going to be like? What's it going to look like? Are they going to do black bezels and have a chin? Are they not going to have a chin and have white bezels? Or that, there's so many different ways they can take it, and we're in that unknown territory now where I'm like, which way is it going to go? And it's so hard to know. It's so up in the air right now. I mean, I want them to unveil it in June, even if it is ugly, just so I can know what to be excited for. If they unveil it in June and it's ugly and it still has a chin, I'll just be like, okay, that Mac isn't for me. I'm not going to get it. But if they don't unveil it, I'm just going to be in this perpetual pending state of not knowing what my next Mac is and hoping that the new design is good, but still not sure if it's going to be good. Just search up HP Pavilion 24-inch, and I dare you to tell me that the Mac still has an iconic look. I think I know exactly. I don't know the name, but I know exactly what type of PC that is. There was a bunch of all-in-one PCs at my high school that looked basically like iMacs, but without the logo. Let's see. HP Pavilion. Oh, I typed that in completely wrong. Whoops. I'm getting laptops. Did I type it in wrong? Why are there so many laptops called HP Pavilion? Oh, well. 24-inch. Maybe I got to do that. Ah, yes. Oh, my God. That absolutely has a giant chin, doesn't it? If anything, that looks better. At least the bezels are thin. I would almost argue that looks better. Although the chin is massive. My God. I'm looking at the HP Pavilion right now. That chin is absurdly big. It's bigger than the iMac chin somehow. I don't know. Ugh. I still hate it. I hate chins on a personal level. How is the iMac Pro held up, by the way? Showing signs of aging finally? Not much, honestly. When the new iMacs came out, I was actually pretty close to saying, you know what, maybe I just shouldn't get a new Mac. I'm so annoyed with the design of the new iMacs, and my iMac Pro is still technically faster than the M1 at exporting stuff. So maybe I should just keep my iMac Pro until it doesn't work anymore, and then I'll upgrade and see what's available at that time. But simultaneously, I'm like, I'm getting tired of this same old iMac. I just kind of want something different, which is why I'm somewhat interested in, like, obviously, if I could get a faster Mac for a good price, I would like that, which is why if they made a M1X Mac Mini that was faster than my iMac Pro, I would be very interested, even if it was pretty expensive, even if it was like $1,500 or $2,000, and I just have to provide my own monitor. I'd be like, okay, got it. I'll get a 144 hertz thin bezel monitor that'll go great with the Mac, and then I'll have my high refresh rate. I'll have my great performance. I'll have my great I/O. It comes in 7 colors. Yeah, that was in response to Intel, maybe. Possibly. They just seem to be proud of that. Part of me does wonder if they were just like, we got to make the design ugly so we have somewhere to go in the future to make it better. We got to have something. At least the bezels are black. You're right. Anyway, I'm very excited for the pre-order tomorrow. I hope you guys are too. I'm going to sign off here. I'm going to start uploading EV right after this live stream. It'll be a little bit later in the day, but today's EV video will be dropping. I appreciate you all for tuning in, and I appreciate all of you for allowing me to have this amazing job where we get to talk about tech products that are interesting and talk about Apple and the products we're going to get. I'm honestly very excited. I know I rant and complain a lot about what Apple does, but I hope fundamentally people can understand, like, I still really love this brand. I love this company, and I use their products every day, and I appreciate them. And I appreciate you guys more than them because you allow me to do this for a living. So you're all awesome and amazing, and I hope you have an excellent rest of your day. Take care. Bye-bye.